a testimonial of this stuff since the beginning of time. Okay, there's other beings in the universe with higher technology. Really, basically, that's what it all comes down to. And at its source is God. God is the one that is the creator, the owner of all flora and all fauna, and we are fauna as human beings. Very special fauna, a very incredible fauna with unlimited potential, made in the image and likeness of God. So it's a beautiful thing, a great honor to be a human being. We are made just a little lower than the angels, it's written. It's an awesome, awesome thing. It's a great responsibility. It's a great privilege. It's a great honor. It's all those things wrapped up in one, and it's greatly challenging too. It's certainly not easy to be a human, as any human can testify to. But the thing is here is that these things are visible, these holy angels of God called the harvesters of the souls of men. I'm not saying that explains all the UFOs, because this is the commonality between the fallen angels and the holy angels. They both have this technology. They can fly. So the evil angels are actually smarter in some ways than human beings. So that's the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. But I believe there could be space tourists coming in. I could think there could be scientists. There could be an array of different things going on with visitors from other places. So they don't want you to know that. The reason why they, the government, whoever the hell that is, they don't want you to know that, and they confuse the issue, which is very effective. I've talked about these muddied and bloodied waters that they control. You know, they're over here in the clean, cool Luciferian waters, right? Oh, we see, but we don't want you to see, right? Because that knowledge is power is held for them. So they're occultists. They want us living in the muddied, bloodied waters of confusion and ignorance, disempowerment. So we're here not believing what these people know to be fact and true. And they love it. They relish in it. So they think we're all just dumb, fool commoners, and evidence shows that we are. We just keep wallowing in the muddied, bloodied waters and think that the answer is just clear ourselves a little, our windshield here so we can see by making a lot of money, and we feel financially free. And then we're serving the master Satan and saying, well, this is the way out, everybody, preaching the prosperity gospel. Well, I tell you, yes, true freedom must also embrace financial freedom. So yes, I believe in prosperity, but I believe in it across the board. You see, I've often called myself a spoiled brat. Well, the way out of that is by making sure everybody else is at least as much a spoiled brat as me, right? And that way I could feel better about, taking a step up into profligacy and an extravagant, luxurious lifestyle, okay? Which none of us should begrudge each other. God doesn't. He gave us the wherewithal to create all the knickknacks, trinkets, and luxury items. All that we have, God gave us the wherewithal to create. So if he didn't want us to create it, he would have made us with little pea brains. But we have these great imaginations. So we make the technology, the infrastructure. And, we've just begun, right, with this thing. There's no telling. I'd love to use my imagination. I encourage everybody to use your imagination on where this thing could go. But we're God's kids. We're very special kids, and something very special is coming along. And when he metes out justice on the earth, the day of reckoning, the great and terrible day of the Lord, as it said in the Bible, then the weeds are separated from the cultivars, and they're burned up. And these people don't want that, but they know it's like sands in an hourglass. So they know they're going to lose, but there is fight to the finish. They've decided that these are enemies of God. They're rebelling against the one true God, and which is humanity. So they haters of humanity. If you hate humanity and you have ill will toward the vast majority of humanity, and you do it under the pretext of, well, they're destroying the planet, and they don't know, and they're climate deniers and all this crap they come up with, okay, to justify, to rationalize their hypocrisy, that they say, well, we're protected. It's okay that we have the carbon footprint of 10,000 men, but you peons here, you're to blame. You should stop driving your car, stop using electricity, and take care of your planet. You're screwing it up. Yet our carbon footprint, we're putting out forest fires, right? That nature starts by lightning. So there's huge amounts of carbon that would normally go into the atmosphere that aren't. Then again, another way to look at that sort of thing, meddling with Mother Nature, is that the fires burn hotter. They allow the underbrush to grow up, and then when we do get a fire, you notice they're burning hotter. They're more terrible. and they're more damaging, and they're impossible to control. You see what's been going on in Southern California, for example. So, these people say that they're scientific, but they're not. They're just, they're going to blame. They say it's global warming, and then when it gets freezing cold and we're breaking records, or going back a century or more to match records, and in other parts of the country, and these people say, well, that's global warming. Yeah, it's like, what in the hell? I mean, that's oxymoronic. You people are idiots. I mean, explain. And then they're chemtrailing the sky. There's no accountability for that. Maybe that's what's causing it. I've heard scientists say, yeah, indeed, that would act like a blanket. If you've got a perpetual cloud cover in that area, in the polar ice caps, okay, then you're going to get melting. It's going to cause a warming effect, like a blanket. And we all know that's true. We all know that from our own experience, from empirical evidence, observing on our own, we know it's colder when it's clear out. So it's just stupid. The entire basis for our so-called reality, this established status quo reality, is nonsense. So thinking outside the box, to me, is just thinking, period. And we need to be way outside the box, and we have to really think about the economic issues. This is where this is the nuts and bolts. This is ground zero for getting it together, is confronting the economic problems. Like Jesus said, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. And these people are very evil, and they love money very much. This is stuff you can see for yourself. Okay, these are the top money lovers who will do nothing. Nothing. Will not do whatever it takes. They will do, in other words, to stay in power. Okay, that's it. And murder, genocide, they just don't care. They just love their lives in this world, which is the opposite of what Jesus said you must do, this system. So they're very content with the status quo. They want to stay on this trajectory toward bringing everybody into hell through ignorance and through confusion. Stay in those muddied and bloodied waters. Don't jump ship over to God's way of thinking, to the way of his servants, because that's all I think of myself as, his willing servant, a bond servant. That's it. I'm loyal. At the end of the day, I know when I take my last breath, it's going to be into your arms I commit my spirit. I got to trust someone, and that's it, man. I trust that there's a loving creator God, that anything good left in me, that he's going to salvage, and he's going to give me existence in another realm. He's going to give me life after life somehow. And it's going to get better and better and better. As long as my values and his values are one and the same, this thing gets better. I might get to choose my own individual character and a lot of stuff, my own, personality and who I am. I mean, it's with him, together let's shape and form ourselves, right? And we don't lose our individuality. It just gets reinforced more and more and more. It's just free will choice, but checking in with him all the time to make sure that we're on the right track in our thinking and forming our belief systems and having the right opinions, beholding the right truths. You see, these things are like our fruits, because whatever we really believe, okay, we're going to speak and then we're going to act on. You see, so that's the source of all that happens in our lives and in the lives of humanity collectively. It's all right there. It's all in our belief systems. So it's essential that we have the right belief systems and that we know there's a way out with God for all of us. We can turn to him at any time. Doesn't matter how long it's been dark in our lives. We can jump ship. We could say, you know what, just like a room that's been dark for 100 years, it's going to light just as fast when you flick the switch. Okay, that's it. The darkness is just chased out. Like Jesus said, be gone, Satan. Be gone. And so we can all do that. We don't have to choose suffering. We don't have to go to the demonstration to get our fair share of abuse. We don't have to slash our metaphorical wrists. But does that mean we're going to not do it? It doesn't, no. This is a form of escapism. We're beating ourselves up, self-flagellation. The ball is always in our courts. We're always hardest on ourselves. So this is the only way psychologically I can explain this thing, spiritual psychology. And, we've got this sinful nature that came from the original sin, right? The fall of man and the knowledge of good and evil and the subsequent curse that befell the earth. So we've got diseases and death and all the misery and suffering and the insects and the natural disasters and all the bad things, the punishing heat, the miserable cold, anything bad, okay? Death itself, Okay, so gravity is too harsh. We need some, so we're not floating off into space, but it doesn't have to be so harsh. And the atomic structure is much more inferior than what it needs to be. If it was, we don't have to die. In other words, our atomic structure could be so much more advanced, so much better, okay, so much superior that we never have to die. It can't be injured to that point. It could heal quicker if we do get an injury or something. But, the point is, with using our imagination, we can see all the bad things that came at the original sin and why we have in this state of affairs. We can understand everything, and it starts making sense, and this story is playing itself out. But there is a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. It just like a book. I mean, there could be different stories throughout the universe being told out for different peoples that look very much like us. We just don't know. But we know this is our individual story here on Earth. We know from history. So we're in this thing as one family, one race, one species here on Earth. And this is what we got to get it together here, okay, before, this is it. We've got to put our feet down, all the good, righteous people, and say, no, God's will is going to be done. When you pray the Lord's Prayer, you're praying, may God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven, right? So that's a perfect place, whatever's in heaven. So these evil people are going to be miserable when they all end up in hell together, some Dante's Inferno type place, right? Where there's, the fire and brimstone and all that. These people that have sold their conscience. But, for the righteous, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be good because we're not going to have, the devil with a pitchfork, metaphorically speaking, stabbing us for no reason. We've got a willing workforce. This is every nation's single greatest asset, like Adam Smith pointed out. And we can do whatever we want. We always are hearing, listen to the mainstream media, right? Oh, it's about money. We got to collect more taxes. And I hear people smarter than me, more intellectual, more educated, like Alex Jones, that still, well, now he's hemming and hawing about, well, I like my taxes to go up. And, come on, Alex, I'm not going to say it, but, it is a little bit, smacks of talking out of both sides of your mouth. Not that I don't do it, too. We all do it. We can all rationalize and we can all be hypocrites at times. But I don't think that's it. I don't think he even believes that. Somehow he knows that at the end of the day, his cost of living is going to go down, and that means his taxes went down. That this is the only way Trump is going to succeed, in my estimation, like I pointed out from the start. This is what I believe. We've got to understand this. We've got to wrap our minds around what it's going to take to gradually, incrementally extricate ourselves from this mess, from this ever-growing wealth imbalance, wealth disparity, okay, which is a bad thing, from accepting and tolerating the poverty that's being created. I cite the Cloward and Piven strategy, so it's nobody could say I don't know what I'm talking about here. These people are planning, they're very diabolistic, that's their religion. So they're much tricksters, scammers, and schemers, and they like to stay several steps ahead of us, right, in doing this diabolical deed, this dastardly deed that they're doing. And they use psycho-spiritual means, and they get us all believing the way they want us to. Small-minded, narrow-minded, short-sighted brute beasts. So they don't want us to tackle the nuts and bolts issues, the kind of stuff I'm always talking about, like economic issues. So we understand if the truly good socialists out there that are really devoted to God and to humanity, that you just believe what they believe, okay? And the truly good capitalists out there that believe in God and they're on the side of humanity and they really want the best for everybody. If they came together, they'd be unstoppable. And that's what God, I believe, is telling us to do. We've got to figure this out, that these people are liars, cheaters, deceivers, and thieves, murderers, okay? And we're not doing it quick enough, in my estimation. Yes, I will give heartening stories like, doing this study whereby only 5% or something of Americans would steal if they knew they could get away with it 100%. That's pretty cool. That's pretty, that says a lot about a people. You saw the beginning of my video here, and I was showing this clip. These are men from going back to probably the 20s, maybe, during the Great Depression, but you see what the character of the American man is, willing to work. Hey, man, I'm here. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Let's, get the job done. But this is the character of the American men. It's in the workforce. So this is our most valuable asset. You've got a willing work. We can do whatever we want. If we want to build a bridge to Hawaii, Okay, it can be done. There's no science that's going to prove to me that it can't be done. It can be done. Yes, we can build pilings 50 miles down to the ocean floor if we need to support the roadway. Okay, don't let anybody tell you we can't. With the technology we have today, we can. And yes, we could build artificial islands of any size. We could have parts of the island that float if we want to. We can do whatever we want. So we can build a bridge to Hawaii with countless islands on the way where people never end up in Hawaii. There's so many beautiful islands that are very distinct, and they love this guy, this people love this one, these people love that one, whatever. I know I digress. Sometimes I lose my train of thoughts too, but yeah, I know these evil people aren't looking forward to being this the end of the age and the separation of the wicked from the righteous, but that's coming, and the righteous people just have to come out of the muddied and bloodied water.